All right, fellas, so we're going to look at, today we're going to look at writing equations of lines given real life scenarios, okay? And that's our objective. So basically it just means we're looking at word problems, okay? These will all be in slope-intercept form, so, that's a good start. So remember, they're going to be in the form y equals mx plus b, okay? And that's what your answer will be in that form. Now, the way the problems go, they're going to give you some information, okay? Anything that sounds like it's a starting point would be your y-intercept. So I've given some examples here. A flat fee, an initial fee, a starting point. I deposited $10 into my retirement account, a flat fee, $5 to get in the cab, or, Bobby opened a box of cookies with 12 cookies inside and ate one an hour, how many hours would it take? How many minutes would it take for him to eat the whole box, right? But he would start with 12, okay? So that's going to be your y-intercept, the flat fee. The slope is going to be a rate. So anything that's changing constantly, so $40 a day, make $1,000 every 2 weeks, $10 a ticket, right? Or, my account value goes down by $10. The football team loses 5 yards on every play, right? It could be an increase or it could be a decrease, right? So when you're talking about an increase, that would be a positive slope. And when you have talking about a decrease, that would be a negative slope, okay? And for right now, we're only talking about things that change at the same rate. So that means, $5 this hour, $5 the next hour, $5, $5, $5. It's always changing by $5, okay? So linear change, right, or linear equations like y equals mx plus b, we're just changing by the same amount every time, okay? And you got to read the problem, right? And maybe read it a couple times. But again, always come back to here, right? The y-intercept is the starting point, and the slope is the rate, okay? So really what your goal is, first you want to define the variables, right? What do the variables mean? What does x represent and what does y represent, okay? Or else this is just bunk, okay? Then you're going to find the slope and the y-intercept as I just explained above, okay? In 1 and 2 here, okay? Then you're going to write the equation and solve any problems they give you, okay? But the key first is to write the equation to model the situation, all right? And I'll show you what you mean. So example 1, John puts $250 in his savings account on Arbor Day in 2019. Great. Each month afterwards, he will deposit $100 into this account. Write an equation, model the situation. How much will he have after 2 years? So again, I'm going to have y equals mx plus b, right? That's how I'm always starting. He deposited $250 in the savings account. So that would be how much he started with, okay? Each month afterwards, he'll deposit $100 into his account. So the slope will be 100, right? Because he's increasing by 100 every month, okay? Now, remember, it's $100 per month, right? So X would represent the months because it's $100 per month. So X would be months. Okay, and Y, after a certain number of months, what's he going to have? Money, right? So Y would be months. Okay, so this is our equation. That's half the battle right there, getting the equation and defining the variables. Now, the next thing we want to do is answer the question. How much money will John have after 2 years? Well, X represents months, right? So 2 years would be 24 months. Okay, so this is why it's important to define our variables. If you define your variables here, then you'll remember, hey, my X is in months, okay, but they're asking in years, so I have to just transfer it over to years. So I get 2,400 plus 250, and then I get $2,650. So after 2 years, John will have $2,650. And again, assuming that that's assuming he doesn't get any interest on the account, which for right now, interest is so low that you probably wouldn't. Okay. Example 2. According to bizfluent.com, the average car depreciates about 8 cents a mile. Crispy Bacon bought a $20,000 car. Write an equation to model this situation. How much will Chris's car be worth after he drives 50,000 miles? So again, the car's depreciating, so it's going down 8 cents per mile. So another hint about the slope is it'll say, $1 per day, 8 cents per mile. Usually you'll know that's the slope. So Chris bought a $20,000 car, right? That would be the initial amount. So again, if we look at y equals mx plus b, he started out with a $20,000 car. Okay, that's the starting point. The car depreciates at 8 cents per mile, so that's going to be negative 0.08, right? Because it's going down. So again, x is miles, and y would be the dollar amount again. So a lot of times y is dollars, but not always. And usually x is time, but not always. Okay? So again, that's half the battle, right? He started with a $20,000 car. It's going down 8 cents a mile. Okay? And again, you know what x is, because 8 cents per mile, so you know because it's changing, that's going to be the slope, right? Something that's changing depending on something else. And usually the word after per is x, is what x means. So just a heads up there. So, if it said 100 miles per day, x would be days. Or if it said $1 million per year, x would be years, right? So how much will Chris's car be worth after he drives it 50,000 miles? So again, since x is miles, we're going to plug in 50,000 for x. All right, so now I will have to break my calculator out for this one. 0.08 times 50,000. So that's 4,000. Negative 4,000 plus 20,000. And y equals $16,000. And this is not really true, since when you drive it off the lot, it loses about 25% of its value. So probably be worth much less than that, unless it's a Toyota, then it holds its value pretty well. All right, so last one. You don't have to use x and y all the time, right? You could use different variables, and I'll tell you about that. Okay, so Mr. Enzi starts a brokerage account with $500. He hopes to grow it by $125 each month. Assuming he's exempt from taxes and makes no interest, how much money will be hopeful have after 9 years? So I'm going to say D for dollars equals M the slope. I'm going to call A the months plus B. So this is going to be months. D is going to be dollars. So again, D equals, the slope is 125 because it's going up 125 a month. A plus $500, that's where I started. Okay, so this is my equation. After 9 years, that's going to be $108 months. Okay, you're going to do a little math. It'd be $14,000. Okay. So again, write your equation, and you're going to define the variables and solve the question that they ask, okay? All right, that's all I got for you guys. Have a good